Tan Books presents How the Eucharist Can Save Civilization by R. Jared Staudt, Ph.D. Read for you by Andrew Hansen. Dedication to my wife Anne, and thanksgiving for our Eucharistic life together. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever, and the bread which I shall give for the life of the world is my flesh. John chapter 6, verse 51. Forward. Before joining Dr. Staudt in the discussion of how the Eucharist can save civilization, we should ask ourselves whether civilization is worth saving. What exactly is civilization? According to Wikipedia, it is any complex state society characterized by a social hierarchy, a perceived separation from and domination over the natural environment, urbanization, or the development of cities, centralization and supremacism, monumental architecture, taxation, and expansionism. At this point, we could be forgiven for questioning whether we still see civilization as something that is good and worth defending. How many of us would fight for civilization if we thought that we were fighting for the increasing complexity of the state and its social hierarchy? How many of the agrarians among us would fight for a civilization that defined itself as being separate from the natural environment and as seeking to dominate it? How many of us would fight for incessant urbanization, centralization, and the passive domestication of ourselves alongside the domestication of other organisms? How many of us had realized that being civilized was the willingness to make ourselves cattle in the service of increasingly complex social hierarchies? How many of us thought that civilization was marked by the sort of specialization of labor that had reduced human work to that of a disposable cog in an increasingly large and complex mechanism? How many of us guessed that civilization was defined by culturally ingrained progressivism and other supremacist ideologies? How many of us perceived that taxation was civilized and that increasing taxation was therefore and presumably a mark of increasing civilization? If this is indeed civilization, we would be justified in hoping that civilization would go to hell, and equally justified in believing that it was already in the process of going there. We would, however, be wrong to abandon civilization because of such woefully...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?